Jen here. I'm really surprised to be live. It wasn't working for hours, so I'm going to turn the chat on. Hopefully, I can keep myself in the same frame of mind where I wanted to be for this video. I'll try. I can't promise anything. Let's see. My head's a little big there. Can we shrink that, or is it not going to allow me? There we go. All right. So forgive me for being disorganized. The main topic of this video is the color blue in symbolism and in like television, if you want to call it television. There's no light in here. I apologize, but sometimes I like to look at people so they know I'm a real person and I'm not some AI configuration. So that's why sometimes I show my ugly mug. So yeah. Be without you, I don't wanna be. Sorry, got the earbud in because I'm a little frustrated, and music calms the savage beast, and sometimes it calms me too. I don't know if anyone's gonna show up for this either because there was no notice, and notice has been kind of going out since like 10 o'clock when I tried to start getting all of this to operate and function the way that it was supposed to. All right, let me look at my notes here. So the first thing I wanted to note was that this is not witchcraft, that it is, shoot. Yeah, Jen. See, I'm so disorganized. This is so unfair. I've been trying for a couple of hours with the VPN I pay for. I pitch in for the bills less and less the more this stuff happens because I'm not going to pay for services that don't function and don't work. I'm not going to pay for electricity that keeps going out. I'm not going to pay for water that is not right. I'm not going to pay for internet service that's this choppy unless they prorate it and make me only pay for 20 days instead of 30, which is what we should all be demanding, because if the service isn't provided, then we should get our money back. And that's how it should work. You give and take as far as the worldly secular things go, as far as that goes. Now, I wanted to talk about the color blue and its symbolism in television, in folklore, and mythology. Its importance and significance in things like gemstones and how that relates back to and points back to the Bible. I have a really nice resource pulled up. When this charges a little bit, I will see if I can bring it up. It's on my laptop, but I had to pull up my 4G phone was able to get online, but my laptop wasn't. Probably because they probably have already damaged that or did something to it. I saw McAfee in there. I didn't put that in there, so I got rid of that. And whether I'm on a VPN, whether I'm off a VPN, whether I'm on Canada, UK, America, it's just not operating. It'll just sit there and buffer the whole time. But that's higher technology than this phone. But this phone is easier to hide than that laptop. And let me just say it now. I don't consent to anyone coming in my room. I don't consent to being shadow banned or censored, but we all are. I am seeing that so many things are being taken from my main channel, and they're using the content. They wouldn't give me back the videos, but on the back end, they're using the content and the ideas and the theories and all of it, messages that I received in prayer with God. That's what I know. I believe it and I know it both. But I'm starting to wonder like where he really wants me, because how can I be in this place? You know, you're not supposed to hide your shine under a bushel. And he's given me certain things to share. And if that message isn't getting out, then I can't stay in this place anymore. So I have to decide, you know, did he mean stand firm physically in this location, or just stand firm in my faith no matter where I am? Because I can still keep praying for these people. I just don't have to be here with them. Now, I did turn the comments on. I see that nobody's commenting. And there was 12 people here, now there's 4. But I have to give a little background as to why I'm a little disorganized and what the intention of the video originally is supposed to be about. So let's talk about the color blue symbolically real quick, and then we'll talk about it. the Bible. But I don't know how long this is going to be because, again, I had planned this, and my resources and my links are in my laptop. So let's just see how it goes. A summary is that blue symbolizes a range of emotions, ideas, primarily encompassing calmness, serenity, and tranquility, often associated with the sky and ocean. It can represent trust, loyalty, and stability, making it a common choice for professional attire and uniforms. However, blue can also evoke feelings of sadness, melancholy, and depression, as seen in phrases like feeling blue. I know this. I've painted a couple of rooms blue at this point, and they do have different vibrations, if you will, or frequencies. And again, if you are a Christ follower, let's not be afraid of words, okay? I was in New Age or whatever. I wasn't ever in a group. Everything that I searched, I always searched on my own. And I did not practice any craft, although I believe the people around me do. And I just never noticed it. This is why I was kept so distracted and busy. And it's also a lot of your stories. You just don't know it yet. And that's another reason why I do this, is to try and ease people into the reality of what's actually going on here. Um, for example, let me just give a little testimony real quick. So I found this years ago, and it I end up working for somebody with the last name Haynes. Also, this is a real estate company. I can't get any apartment around here. The second they hear my name, it's like, oh, we don't have anything. Couldn't even get to a shelter. The second they hear my last name, oh, we can't do anything for you. And again, I'm not even sure if that's just playing with me, because the people I speak with always have the same names. There's always a Jessica. And then when I called SSI, it was a Moon Dragon, like, whatever, like, I don't know if your life is as strange as mine since 2019, but for me, things have quite inverted, went upside down, inside out. And they want to call evil good and good evil, but we shouldn't do that, and we shouldn't agree with that, and we shouldn't come into agreement with that. But I had found that, and I ended up working at a pizza shop for a guy named Dean Haynes. And that's my oldest's name, is Dean. It's not what I want to name him, but that's his name. It's not his last name, though. And they say, oh, he lives in Florida, the guy that owns this place. But then I'm cleaning one day, and the one kid goes, would you want it to look nice for your boss? And he almost said your son. This is all coming from my own family, tormenting me, harassing me. And I just remembered that my youngest and the kids around here, he shared our Wi-Fi passcode with all those kids. That's how they've done this. That's how they've gotten information on you and me. That's how they're manipulating their parents and the elders now, is because they've blackmailed them. Our young children were indoctrinated in these schools, and now they're going around blackmailing people and bribing them and whatnot. And they're lying to you. I know my son owns a business, and I don't know when they turn 18 if they just give it to certain people or how. I don't know. They don't make me privy to any of this. I just see it happening. Okay. And yet they're made to work somewhere else, so it looks like they're not associated, and they don't associate with each other publicly. If you watch the found footage things, the ones that have the occult wrapped up in them, I watched one the other day where everybody was masked and stuff. And a lot of times that's how this is for these younger initiates. They don't know who else is in the club. And they go and they do these tasks, whether it's summoning or burning something, committing a crime, whatever it is, giving a offering to a certain demon, this demonology stuff, whatever their task is, to get further in their initiation. They're always masked. They don't even know who each other is. That's why their plausible deniability works so well, is because they don't even know each other's faces a lot of times. Just like in Eyes Wide Shut, they don't know who they're in cahoots with. And again, I've seen this around me. If you go to my testimony, I'm not going to keep doing that, right? Like, if you want to know that part of things, however, it is tied up with, I get everything that happens in my family has went public. So I know that certain things, like right now, let's talk about hair, ladies. Some people are losing their hair. Some women are losing their hair who should not be losing their hair. That is something that they are doing. Be very careful with your products. Any products I use, I keep separate. I keep away from the bathroom. I keep in my walk-in closet. At least it's away from everybody else's stuff. And I do a prayer and I plead the blood of Christ. I'm not going to tell you everything that I do or say, but if you want to learn about consent and how to protect yourself in spiritual warfare, these are not carnal weapons. I'm a pacifist. I'm not promoting violence. I'm talking about getting your willpower so strong that nobody but the one who made you can supersede it anymore. And that's where this begins. This fight begins with you and your will and the amount of willpower you have, the endurance and forbearance that you have, and frankly, the love that you have. Because if you don't have love, then none of the rest of that will spring forth. Everything comes from love. Life came from love. Light comes from love. It all came from love. So if you're not doing these things in the right headspace, sure, these people might seem like they're getting rewards on one end, but they're paying on another end. And I'm seeing that too. I'm seeing that in my son. That's how I know my husband's, whatever he is, the pseudo spouse, I know he's in error because he used to care about our kids. He used to give a darn. And if he saw him like that today, he would not stand for it. Like my son is being greatly affected by whatever's going on the outside with the rest of the family. And if people actually loved him, they wouldn't allow it to. This is all about your free will and manipulating you. And if you're losing your hair, it's one of a couple of reasons. Either A, you're a witch. Watch the movie Witches with Angelica Houston. That's actually pretty accurate. They're not human, right? It was never about humanity. Real witches aren't human, and Hansel and Gretel tell you what they are and what they do. They like children for a very specific reason. However, if you're practicing witchcraft, you could lose some of your hair. But this goes deeper. If you have a partner who is fallen, if he has that bloodline, read the book of Enoch, because sometimes you're wrapped up in that. That's why I'm trying to separate myself as much as I physically can and still be here the way God told me to be here. I was with someone who was allegedly a fallen one. Like if you go back and listen to my story, I don't know this until after the fact, of course, right? But this is why you say no to things. This is why you treat your body as a temple. This is why you don't put foreign substances into it, because that gives them legal right then to do certain things to you, and it makes your armor of God weaker. It puts holes in your armor of God, right? And people have asked me to talk about these things like consent and whatnot. So that's why I get into that a little bit in each video, so that you can learn how to get your free will where it needs to be, in accordance and in alignment with your mind and your heart and your soul, right? And your spirit. So you can walk this out through the straight and narrow. Now, I'm going to see if I can go over here where there's a little more light. And I might, now that my phone is charged, I might be able to pull up the gemstone link that I wanted to pull up for you guys. I have to look at it in my computer first, and then I can actually okay. So this is awkward, but this is how you don't give. You get up, you get up, you get up. I've been trying to do this with you guys since I don't know what time today. 10. Since 10. My dogs are upset, but I walked him and I fed him and all that, so he can't be that sad. So if you are losing your hair right now, do not use the products that these same people give us, that we've read the covenant between the alleged fallen ones. We read the covenant. We'll take their children. We will harm their children. We will kill them with things that we tell them are good for them. If you've never heard it, I read it somewhere back on my testimony, somewhere back there. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up here so I can see the link name, and then I'll pull it up for you guys. Whoa. No. I'm not sure why the Google Voice is always wanting to turn on. I don't know why it does that, even if you don't want it to. Bible study gemstones. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up because it brings up the gemstone that goes with the color blue for us. I apologize. It's giving me problems. I don't know why, but the last time I did the blue video too, every time I tried to do this video, they shut it down. And that's why what I talked about at the beginning, the last time they shut this down, I'm waiting to the middle. So If it seems a little boring so far, there's a reason for that. Oh, ladies, I'm not going to buy any more of this because it's now went mainstream. When things go mainstream, I don't buy them. I don't participate in that type of stuff. And I also use this. Right now my hair is greasy because I've got things like that in it. Do not use shampoo. Do not use sulfates. I'm not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice, right? This is beauty advice. Don't use sulfates. They're not good for you. Don't use parabens. Don't use things tested on animals. Hold one second. Bible study, gemstones. We're going to look at, I'm going to prove to you right now that gemstones are not a part of witchcraft, okay? My bad. Right here, the Bible makes many general precious stones and jewels most often as metaphors for such attributes as value, wealth, beauty, and durability. It also mentions 23 specific gem materials, among them 20 mineral and 3, biogenic, like amber, coral, and pearls. Okay, so let me see if this link shows up, which it should. There we go. Okay, this is exactly what I had wanted to pull up for you guys on my laptop. So hopefully, just give it a minute because it is 4G and it takes a minute sometimes. Okay. We still doing good. There we are. You guys should be able to comment. The comments are on. If they're not working, that's not me. Okay, I'm not doing it if that's going on. Okay, let's put that somewhere where. Oh, just trying to get rid of the ads for you. Okay, so Aaron and Moses, in order for them to be near the ark, he was told to make a vest of 12 gemstones, which is where we get our 12 birthstones. Gemstones are not used for witchcraft. They can be used for protection. How do I know this? Because that's exactly what Aaron and Moses used them for. They put them in a vest, like the vest you wear if you're a radiologist or if you are getting x-rays done, or if you're beside the machine, every other part of you gets covered, which makes me worry about the rest of you. But again, I'm not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice. All my disclaimers are in the description box. So that's how I know gemstones are not witchcraft, is the Bible itself. Because Aaron and Moses had to make a vest with all 12 gemstones of the calendar months. That's where we get those from, is from that. Now, my theory, which I see other people were passing that around finally too, is that the ark puts off radioactive power. Now, people call this power the source of God. Some people call it source. Some people call that power God itself. This is why you can't look at the face of God or you'll get the sunburn. Moses come down off of the mountain and his face was red. That's because he was in the presence of the face of God. And no man shall look upon it and live, because the flesh can't endure that. This is why you get sunburn and things of that nature. However, we're in a time now that we might be changed in the twinkling of an eye. You're seeing people, right, manifest physical signs of what side they are on. For example, you're seeing the safety jackets with the safety color. We'll get to that color some other day. You're seeing the safety jackets with those colors. You're seeing the dark sunglasses. My husband started the dark sunglasses years ago, so the eye doctor told him to. He made this real big production of explaining to me why almost all the time. And I'm like, why are you telling me all this? Why would I be, okay, you wear sunglasses. Of course, at the time, I was spiritually dumb and I didn't know anything. You notice that's a pattern, though. A lot of people, a lot of celebrities, a lot of people getting photographed, even politicians are going indoors to indoor events wearing really dark sunglasses like you used to see on blind people. You're seeing the safety vests. That's also a part of the pattern. Another part of the pattern, unfortunately, is losing your teeth. Why? Because that is the power of, it's radioactive power. It's the power of God. And in this Psalm, I think it's 51 or 53, where David says, knock all of my enemies on the cheek, knock all of their teeth. Why would he want their teeth gone? Well, they were bigger than him. They were giants. Well, what does their teeth have to do with anything? They were cannibals. You're seeing a lot of young people right now who are getting these false teeth. And I'm not saying everybody, but we're in time now when, and I asked God, I said, I need physical signs at the beginning of this. I said, I need physical signs to know the difference between who is with you and who is not, because I don't know anymore. Because I thought my husband, he denied the power thereof of God, but he displayed morals. Like he knew the difference between wrong and right. And that's what's dangerous and sadists, especially people like that are all wrapped up in one. They want to hurt you. They enjoy hurting you. The people that mock me at the pizza place, I know that they were mocking me, but sometimes I would laugh with them. I didn't want them to show it hurt me. I wanted to show I could take it or whatever. But I've had dreams since I was a child, and I told you all about some of them. But some of the dreams that I've had, there's always a theme. In some of the dreams that I've had, there's always this theme. Let me make sure. Okay. Of me running away from boogeymen. I don't know what else to call them. Sorry, there's ads on this page. There's these boogeymen, right? And I'm always running from them, but then I try to endear them to me and get them to like me. That's never going to happen. They're never going to like us. We're never going to be endeared to them. What they're trying to do now is piggyback on us. And I said this in the one video I made on Brie and Jen that got taken down. And I'm not going to talk about that stuff. It was 2019 and lockdowns. But what they're trying to do in essence is piggyback on us and sneak into heaven. They think they can do this. That's why they say, oh, they hide behind Jesus. That's why some pastors teach we hide behind Jesus. We're still trying to hide? That's what Adam and Eve did. You think God doesn't know that we're hiding? Of course he's going to ask you like he did Adam and Eve. Where are you? Where are you at? Just like a parent does, just like I do with my dogs. Where did you go? I can't see you, but I know they're there. That's why God asked. It wasn't because he didn't know. It was because he wanted Adam to be honest with him. He wanted Eve to tell him the truth, which they didn't do. And so, they got evicted. So we're seeing physical signs manifest in people now. And if you want to know who's involved in this Antichrist system, it is all the people betting on things, all the people using the Doge stuff in the cryptocurrencies. I don't care if they say they're Christian. They think for some reason, like if we're in the season of Satan, cryptocurrency will save us. It will free us. Like I can't no more. I can't. Money is not going to save you. I don't care if it's shekels. I don't care if it's gold. I don't care if it's silver. I don't care if it's digital. None of this stuff is going to save us. Only changing hearts. That's how you get saved. That's how you help to save your neighbor and your friends and your family is by changing your heart. But anyways, we are seeing physical signs manifest in people. Now, what does this blue color have to do with it? Well, I'm going to say something now, and hopefully it'll be okay. The blue color was prevalent with the to be arson in some cases, and I also suspect to be lies in others. I think they're doing a lot of damage control right now. What they're doing is they're taking credit for the stuff that God is doing, right? Oh no, that's us. That's SpaceX. We did that. We're doing that. They're also taking credit for their own mistakes, which the whole thing with them being a woman is pregnant. Why are these new cruises they're making for 9 months? That's how long a woman is pregnant. Can't even go to the consignment shop anymore. And again, I don't use names. So if I share this story, it's not because I'm downgrading you. It's because I'm explaining to people that that's where we're at in the world now. Okay. You can buy, I guess, stuff. You can buy a kit online and it will get sent to your home and you can have a baby that way. You can inseminate yourself. I'm like, what are you going to use? A turkey baster? Like, how is this going to work? Isn't it a delicate procedure that you used to pay $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for? But I looked it up and they're online and it's not a joke. Like for people to think that God is not going to be upset with that, right? Like, even if there are other ways to do that, right? Like mark your suit, it's not a good idea to just sell that stuff and make it available to just anyone. And you don't know where it's coming from. They are wanting a baby boom and they're wanting it for a reason because they want the bloodlines mixed. They want hybrids. They want them all over the planet again. Because I think the idea is if they mix themselves with us, then God will have to let them back in. Or then they damn all of us with them. So either way it works, they're already damned. That's why they are the way they are now. That's why they've possessed people and they're acting the way they're acting, because they don't care about breaking rules. They're already going to a bad place, they think. I suspect things are a little different because God did allow all this to continue, and the Bible does say to preach the gospel to all creatures. But I think their parents lied to them and said, oh, God is our enemy, and God, he wants to strike you down, and God doesn't love you. Like, adults around children can really either mold them, to give them the tools that they need to be a decent person, and in addition to civilization and society, and to have a, to their own family, and it's up to them to use those tools. Or they can really indoctrinate children and lie to them, and those children grow up believing that stuff. Like, what else would they think? So they think they're not savable. They think that other people hate them just for their genes. And again, let me make that very clear. There's no hate on this channel. So back to blue. We're seeing blue in the Maui, in the Palisades, that only blue survives, only blue with the roofs. Now we're seeing blue rain. People are talking about blue rain. I personally don't think it's actually raining blue. I think these people, again, are sending coded messages. And for whatever reason, the message that they're sending right now to each other is blue. That's why you're seeing the blue rain. It's probably popsicle or food dye. I don't think the rain is actually a color, okay? I just wanted to get that out there. However, if I see it happen and I know it's different, then I will say I was wrong. Blue has also been very big in severance, and we'll look at that after look at this bit, okay? And again, they hate the color blue. I've tried all day to get on this stinking laptop, and it just sits in buffers and buffers and buffers and buffers the whole time. So if anyone techie is here and can help me out with that, that'd be great. Nobody's commenting. I'm going to assume that like the comments might be turned off or something. So we're going to get into, again, this isn't going to be too much longer because I've been trying to do this all day. And if I have to make it harder, then I will. So lapis lazuli is the blue stone, and we're going to read about it. In the middle, in the Bible, in the middle, oh, geez. And I started with blue again because we're seeing blue a lot in shows. Now, blue was relevant in Severance. It was relevant in Breaking Bad, and I'm going to address that as soon as I'm here. Okay, so in the Bible, in the middle stone, in the second row of the priest's breastplate, Exodus 28:18, is called the Hebrew Saphire, Strong Concordant H5601. While Strong's translates the word as sapphire, the BDB lexicon states it could be translated as either a sapphire or a lapis lazuli. Those are kind of a big difference because lapis lazuli you don't see through. It looks like a stone. And, real clean sapphires you do see through. They do sparkle like a diamond sort of. So they present a little different, at least the raw stones. While the HCSB and NIV Bible states it could be either of these precious stones, 7 out of the remaining translations used in this series translate the word as sapphire. So maybe it's sapphire. The word sapphire, other than Exodus 28:18, is used in Exodus 24:10, 39:11, Job 28:6, 16, Song of Solomon 5:14, Isaiah 54:11, Lamentations 4:7, Ezekiel 1:26, 10:1, and 28:13. Why am I reading? So my point being here is that either it's time to admit that the Old Testament is full of wizards and sorcerers, and that's what Moses was, or gemstones are not a part of witchcraft. One or the other. Like all of this condemnation is coming at us for a reason. They want us unequipped and unprepared to pray. That's why in 2017, I know this because that's when I was saved, or rebaptized, whatever. They removed the word, this kind only goes out through prayer and fasting. When the apostles asked Christ, we tried to get this demon gone, it would not go, it stayed, it remained. Well, how are we supposed to do this? And Christ said, this one only goes out through prayer and fasting. In the NIV, they removed fasting. That's why I don't use the NIV, okay? Whether you're fasting from food or you're fasting from society or you're fasting from electronics, we can argue over the meaning. but they took fasting out, period. Okay. The only way some of us can be delivered of what ails us in this current generation is through fasting. And you see in all of these, we hear about just that one gemstone. Gemstones are not wicked. They're not evil. Okay. They're protective measures. So let's find out how. Sapphires, a variety of corundum stones, have a Mohs hardness scale value of 9. This is the same hardness as rubies and second only to diamonds. That's why I said it's more like it really is a gem and not just a stone. Lapis lazuli is different. Okay, sorry about that. Second only to diamonds is the hardest minerals known to man. Minerals are classified as. Because of the difficulty in attempting to engrave such a hard stone, the gem in the second row of the breastplate was likely a lapis lazuli. Okay, because they're saying in that reference, it's easy, and I do know this just from handling mine, and I was going to try and engrave a few, so that's good to know. You should always wear protective eyewear as well, because it can be very toxic for you to breathe. And again, it is a inanimate object. So if you breathe in the dust like that, that could be bad for you. I have ate certain gemstones before, not like whole, like in oils and stuff. But anyways, if you're going to experiment with anything, it should be your own body and your own reality. So lapis lazuli, do I have it here with me? See, I had picked it up and meant to show it in the video as well. I'm sorry this is a little disorganized. I entirely meant for this to be done on the laptop. That's why I got the laptop. That's why I have to pay $50 a month for the laptop. I'm tired of things I paid for not operating the way they're promised or people sabotaging them. It's not possible that this many devices would just, that one thing won't work. Just that one thing I can't stream. That's not possible, guys. Like it's just not possible. Okay, so it says, because of the difficulty in attempting to engrave such a hard stone, the gem in the second row of the breastplate was likely a lapis lazuli. And I'll get a picture for the thumbnail and show it to you, but I think they have them up here as well. Because of the difficulty in attempting to engrave such a hard stone, it was probably lapis lazuli. The Mohs hardness is 5.5, so it's much easier to engrave than a sapphire. The ancients gave the name of sapphire also to our lapis lazuli, which is likewise a blue stone, often speckled with shining. That's what I was going to say. It looks almost like how concrete has things, a variety of things mixed. That's kind of how lapis lazuli looks in the way that it has like this tinsel almost running through it. So it's likewise a blue stone, often speckled with shining pyrites, which give it the appearance of being sprinkled with gold dust. It is an opaque substance easily engraved. Opaque means you can't see through it. Transparent means you can see through it. Translucent means it's foggy window, like the window that you get like it's called a snow effect almost. It's in between. So you have translucent, transparent, translucent, and opaque. I'm sorry, I'm really anxious today, so I got some music going. SWV, old school. Black coffee, oat milk. That's all that is. Weak in the knees, I can hardly speak. So there's lapis lazuli. Takes hold of me. Figure carved from lapis lazuli gemstone found in Afghanistan. So you see, it's very different than a sapphire. It knocks me right off my feet. The stone cannot have been our sapphire, for both Theophrastus and Pliny describe the sapphirus as a stone with gold spots, thus showing that they meant lapis lazuli, which is often spotted with particles of pyrites having a golden sheen. This stone was named Shesbet by the Egyptians and was highly prized by them. Curious Lore of Precious Stones, page 293 is their reference for that. And you see that the Egyptians had a lot of right ideas about things. They weren't wrong about everything. And it would behoove us to just dismiss their entire faith system because Christ spent a lot of time in Egypt. This gemstone was often paid in tribute to ancient Egypt, being obtained from some of the oldest mines in the world. The gemstone made in the image of the pagan goddess of truth was also worn about the neck by the Egyptian high priest. I carry lapis lazuli with me. I love blue. It's the color of the sea, sort of, right? Um, I don't know. The blue is like, I feel colors. It's gonna sound so weird. I feel colors. I've always felt colors. This is why, like, on certain days, I wear certain colors. And I have very sensitive skin. I can get to feeling, depending on who's around and what kind of spirits have what's happening in the ether. I can get like almost like I have bugs crawling on me, especially if I have uncomfortable material. That's why I went to 100% cotton, organic cotton, or linen. Is what you see me in. That's why I wear so many t-shirts. But that's what feels good. And certain colors will feel good. Like orange, I don't like unless it's on or mixed in with like some like paintings or something. I don't like orange by itself. But to wear it, to feel it on, it doesn't feel bad, but it definitely feels like like oh, what are we gonna go do? You know what I mean? It's like one of those colors, if it's bright. Let me think of another one. Green. Green is like an energetic color, but it's a organized. Explain that. And blue is like a mellow color, and purple, again, purple and blue are real similar in the ways that they make you feel, unless it's like blue, green, teal, or aquamarine or turquoise. Then it's almost the same as green. Like green is an energetic color, but not a, I guess orange is more hyper. Orange and yellow like are hyper colors. And I feel like green and blue are more like natural energy. They make me feel like I have an energy that day. And then if I need to calm down, I'll wear like a blue or like purple or like earth tone, something earth tone to ground me, right? And I know that sounds weird, but people are finally talking about these things. People are finally asking again, where did I come from? Why am I here? How did I get here? Like, and you can almost see it in people's eyes. Like, I just woke up and this place is wild, right? Like, I was 39 years old before I woke up, and I was like, holy cow, this is not anything like I thought it was, you know? Okay, so Marco Polo in 1271 AD is believed to have visited the Asiatic mines that produced the lapis lazuli, diamonds, pearls, and precious stones, page 92. The second row middle stone in the priest's breastplate in the Bible is likely not a sapphire for the reasons stated above. However, a true sapphire was likely used to adorn Lucifer. Whoa, that's different, since God himself decorated him. So can you imagine, like, our framework for what angels are and what God is? Like, that's probably why God doesn't want to show himself, because it'll freak people out. It's probably more like a horror show to us right now with our eyes as they are, unless we get some like information first and like slowly the scales on our eyes are lowered. So could you imagine, like, Lucifer was decorated with gemstones? That reminds me of the dragons in Atreyu in The Neverending Story, one of my favorite movies. I don't think he had gemstones, but somebody did in some movie. Like, they had to, that was one of like the tasks, right, of the hero's journey, was to take the stone out of the, I can't remember what that's from. I can't believe nobody's commenting. I hope the comments are on, but if I touch that again, it could like mess like with the video, and I don't want the whole video to stop. So if you have anything to comment, write it down, or if you have any more resources, write it down and then share it once the video posts, if you guys are having trouble commenting. And again, I did not do that. If it happened, it was not me. So however, a true sapphire, was likely used to adorn Lucifer. Blue, I can't believe it. Like, of all the colors that I thought were his, because right now they're all into red and black. And red and black, just so you know. So those are the signs to look for. The dark sunglasses, the safety jackets, the red and black colors, and the talking backwards. Like, to us, it sounds backwards, or to most people. I was born that way, so it doesn't affect me so much. God speaks backwards too, compared to how we speak. Every language but English is in reverse of what we're used to. Which one is correct? I don't know. God will hear you, and no matter what language you learn. But I do have some special words I'm going to do a video about. I'm going to start like trying to do like one of those a week, but my life is up in the air, and it always has been. So I'm just at God's will. If he needs me to leave here, then that's what I'm going to do. I can't believe that. So a blue stone was used to adorn Lucifer. Additionally, since the Eternal will create the new Jerusalem, which comes down from heaven like a bride, there is little doubt that he will use sapphires for one of its foundations. I don't doubt it either. Like that's going to be, Enoch describes it as everything's shining, everything's glittering, right? Like even it reminds me of the Emerald City, which we're going to get. Green will be the next color we do. The link to Abraham, the Mesopotamian city of Ur, also known as Ur of the Chaldees, was the patriarch Abraham's hometown. He lived in the city for 70 years from 1960 to 1890 BC. So they obviously didn't count backwards, but that's how we labeled them after Christ was born. BC meant before Christ. They're teaching something different now, but that's what it always meant, was before Christ. We very well may be in Satan's little season. I don't know. I see more evidence for that every day. I still have a couple really big problems with that, though, and we're going to talk about that again soon, too. I really need to get this laptop figured out and to work right. Okay, so... Oh. Live there in order to inherit the promised land of... Okay, so the ancient tombs of Ur were discovered in 1922 by Leonard Woolley, who was the head archaeologist on the site. His work uncovered a cache of skeletons dating back at least to the time of Abraham. Among the skeletons were found headdresses made of carnelian and lazuli stones, Bible lands, and illustrated scriptural places. Now, in folklore, the cure for feeling melancholy and for a recurring fever was thought to come through a lapis lazuli gemstone. Ancient Romans and Greeks believed the stone had medicinal applications. They were known to pulverize it and use it to make a tonic, meaning with a hammer they smashed it and made a drink with it. So like I said, some of these don't eat them as they are, but some of them you can consume once they're broken down and some alchemy takes place. Okay, so this is recommended articles that come from that. Now let me see. Introduction, da-da-da. Where did you put the lapis lazuli? Hold, please. All right, so now we're going to talk about the color blue in a different way. So give me a second. Oh, barnacles, just go away. It does take a minute because this is a 4G device. I apologize, guys. I thank you for your patience, though, and I thank you for being here. What are you doing now? Are you just going to be black? Yeah, because... Oh, boy. Yeah, I just want... That's all. I just want to use Google, man. I don't want to clear all. Why are you doing this? Thank you. All right, so now we're going to look up... I just need to pull something up so you can see it. Oh, somebody commented. I can't believe it. I can't see what you said, though, because... Rapture soon. I don't know if I agree, but you are entitled to believe that if you'd like. I think one might have at least already happened. I think there might be 3 or 4 of them. That makes everybody correct, if there's any at all. But again, I look at that a little differently than other people. Mary was raptured. Her body was raptured up. So was Enoch. That's what rapture means. They were assumed up into heaven with their bodies, and they walked with God. They were very precious beings. You got to do work. Most people, and I know, okay, you can tell me that there's no work involved, faith alone, grace through faith. Yes, that's how you get grace, okay? Absolutely. But faith without works is dead, as James said. You can't have faith without doing works for people. I'm like itching just to go out and help somebody because I'm stuck here all the time and there's nobody to help other than my family that doesn't want my help. Do you see what I mean? I'm not saying works is how you get salvation, but works is kind of the proof of your salvation, and it keeps your faith fed. If you are always pouring out from your cup and giving it to others, because grace is something we should not hoard, then God is going to continuously pour into your cup too. So everybody's cups will be overflowing. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so moving on. I want to show you something. Let me show you something. Like Jim Carrey. Let me show you something. Okay. I really like him too. Me and Ariana Grande can duke it out for him. I'm kidding. Okay, so which first? I'm going to talk about some stuff here that hopefully. So, Breaking Bad, the series, was about a really nasty substance. You can read about this teacher, this science teacher, goes off the wall, off the rails after he gets treated for the big C, and he becomes a chemist and he starts making this street substance that a lot of us know the name of. And everybody loves his, and they want to know how he gets the blue color. How are you getting blue? How are you getting blue? Well, I'm going to show you what else is blue. They were telling us in that show what they were doing. Okay, so I'm going to show you what was blue. These are my opinions. They do not reflect the opinions of Google nor YouTube. This is my theory. I believe that they showed us in Breaking Bad what you're seeing happen now, why you're seeing so many people OD, because this is also blue, and I believe they put it in there. Whether you take this or not knowingly, it's in the other stuff. Breaking Bad told us. So that is also blue. But what else is blue? I just saw this in another video yesterday. There's a specific one that is blue. Now, back in the Cold War days, allegedly, spies were given a capsule of this. So as opposed to being captured and tortured for all their information, they would delete themselves with that. Okay? So that is also blue. Blue is not always a good thing when you see it displayed. So why are they sharing it in the media right now in these, what I believe is a deception in many ways, but why are they showing, again, media is not so much about what they're talking about. A lot of that stuff doesn't even take place. If you read enough books, you see that they're pulling these plot lines from movies and books, just like the train wreck that allegedly happened here in Ohio. First, it was called White Noise, and it was in a movie on Netflix. And then, boom, that same thing happens here in Ohio, which they only have one picture of. I don't know what else to say. I just don't. Okay. And people are getting like, none of this is real. The politicians, it's all, we're policing each other and we're policing ourselves with the electronics and the people on the screens. They're banking on that because there's not enough of them, you see? And now the younger generation is taking over, and that's why food don't taste the same, things don't look right, because they've gotten rid of all the people who knew how to do things. Or reset them, and they don't remember how to do those things anymore. And again, I'm not going to get into every single one of these whole topics every video. Where else do we see blue? Well, we see a lot of it in this show, and this is where I will end this video, but don't leave, because this is probably the most important bits. All right, so I'm going to give you some spoilers right now for this show, but you need them, okay? All right, so Severance. Out another one of my theories right here, right now, if possible. I don't know if you can actually prove it until it actually just comes out to everybody, but I'm going to try. Okay, so in Severance, I'm trying to look for, like, not that. Okay, Severance is about a group of people, these 4 people that you see over in the corner there. Can I pull it up? These people. The girl with the red hair, her name is Helly. I told you about the red hair and the symbolism and the black and whites and the checkers and all that and the Mason. I've told you about all these things that are manifesting now, here and now. I believe the AC is going to have red hair, or he did at one time have red hair, okay? Or the proxy for the AC has red hair. But it's hard to define
the head of the snake, which one is the actual AC, because they are legion. They all talk the same. They all have and you could talk to one person, and this happened to me, so I'm going to use it as an example. You can talk to one person on this side of town. You could talk to another person 2 years later in another state, and they will continue the conversation that you had with that person because it's legion. That's the hive mind, but it's not a good thing because you never have privacy. You never have everything you share, right? Every emotion, you share all that stuff. But you also don't have emotions anymore. I'm not sure what happened, if this is still my family. They still have all the same memories, but there is no joy. There is no expression of love to each other. There is no camaraderie like they used to have. It's just not good. That's one of the reasons I do this. So Helly, that's her name. She's got the red hair. She's the mole. The other three they've all agreed to have their brains severed. What does that mean? That means when they go into work and hear the bells ring, that personality comes out. When they go to leave and the bell rings again, the other outie, and those are called innies and outies. The people that work all day are called innies. The people outside are called outies. Why am I telling you this? I know Matt from Quantum of Conscience talked about this years ago when it first came out, but we have more information now. And you need to understand that when I say they're resetting people, I think this is what they're doing. I don't know the science behind it, but I do know that I've seen people that are supposed to be dead. And I've also talked to people whose name I'm like, "Hi, Nicole, how are you?" She's like, "That's not my name. I don't know you." I'm like, "We used to work together. I don't know you." Now, again, my situation is different than a lot of other TIs. It could be these people are just blackballing me. But this is happening a lot. And it's not happening with just me. Go into Quora, go into Reddit. You will see people having these conversations. My family was swapped. My family was changed. I don't know what happened. It's invasion of the pod people. It's everywhere at this point. That's why I'm glad I talked about it. Because when one person breaks that dam, other people feel like, all right, I can do this now. If that person did it, I can do it. Kind of like everybody in line for the roller coaster. You want to do it. You know it'll be fun once you get there, but you're scared too. But once you see that person in front of you go and they get off and they're fine, then you're like, oh, okay, if they did it, I can do it. Right? Do you see what I mean? So that's kind of why I do this. Okay. So they have the innie personality and the outie personality, and I totally believe part of that is true. Blue is their color. Blue is the color of their badge. A lot of it is blue, like their clothes are blue, blue-green. It's always these colors. It's always different blues, okay? What else is blue? There's some, I think their pens are blue, but their time cards, that's the main thing. Their ID is blue. Now, I've been thinking about, you can't buy or sell without it. What's it going to be? It's going to be the internet. It's going to be www. That's what it's going to be. Because they're not going to have stores you go to anymore. It's probably going to be all online. I'm not sure why they don't want people out and about, but they don't. Which is why we should do exactly that, but nobody wants to gather with me yet, so I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I'm probably not going to know to the moment I do it. Then I'll go live and tell you, hey, I'm leaving town, and I'm going to make this video as I walk across the border. I got another comment to make about borders, too, so don't go anywhere, because we're going to talk about consent before I end this. So basically, I do believe that Severance is giving us the truth about how they reset people and what's going on. And I told you when this big word reset was going around with everybody, my son had a button that said reset before that stuff started. Then I got a thing from Medicaid about papers I had to refill. And on the side, it was stamped with a big rubber stamp, red stamp that said reset. So again, and I've had memories that don't seem to be my own, and they only come when I fast, when I don't consume things. I've told you about we've talked about that too, about the theme in some of these shows about forgetting, and the forgetting and amnesia coming from things that they eat or white powder that's put on their food, okay? That's a big part of this too. This is why fasting is a good, and you need to fast for 72 hours, 3 days is the magic number, at least, okay? Intermittent fasting works best. Okay, so they have the blue badges. Her name is Helly, but guess what else? Guess how far this goes? The main guy, the main character, the same guy that he is, he's in this show with other women that he was their husbands on other shows. Now, I told you that I think there's a part of TV that's true or real. Because some of these people, if you watch and you know act, like, I lived with the world's best actor and biggest liar, and that was my mother. She wasn't always like that, though. Again, she went away for a time, and I was left with relatives, and she came back completely different. She kind of looked the same, but her attitude, like, she was not soft anymore. She was not kind. She was very sadistic. She wanted to hurt me. Like, it was just bad. And I don't mean, like, hurt me, like, beating me all the time. I mean, she wanted to mentally hurt me. She knew that's how I got hurt, so that's what she went for. This has a lot to do with what's happening in real life. They are shortening our lifespans. If Noah's life was supposed to be 120 years, and that was before the flood, then our lives should be at least that long at this point. If we're walking with God. And people will say, well, nobody has resurrected. How, we've not seen or heard of anything like that. Do you really think that the secular world is going to tell you death isn't real? Person beat death. They're not going to tell you, but Christ wants us to walk this out the way that he did. Our bodies have to be in a certain shape and position for all of this to operate. You cannot have buried yourself. God can undo anything, right? He can undo anything. But I'm just saying, in this time, I don't agree to being buried. I personally am not going to do it. Don't bury me. I don't care if you leave me on the side of the road. Do not bury me. I already know people are going to want to. I already know this. I've known it since I was little. All I wanted to do was see the petrified forest in the Grand Canyon before I died, if I had to die for, real, or for whatever. Because I've left my body before, and I've had NDEs, but the things that I've done should have killed me. Like, I should be dead by now. If death is real, I should have been dead a bunch of times. Like, a bunch of times. Severance has the blue, and they talk all the time about what else Severance has. Severance has a room that looks like the room. So I just told you that Mark, the guy here on the far left, the main character, the protagonist, he's in this show with people he was in other shows with. Pause. Hold on. There's a room in this Lumen building. That's what the business is called, Lumen. There's a room here that looks like the room from the new Willy Wonka with Johnny Depp. There's where they're drinking out of the flowers. There's a room in Lumen that looks exactly like the same room. Grass inside in an office building, and it's called the goat room, and they have goats in there. I'm not kidding. Literal goats. There is something with this typecasting. They call it typecasting when they have one person play the same part over and over again, but I don't think that's true. I think there's one person in these shows that doesn't know it's a show. And I don't know how they get them to do the interviews after that. But, like, for example, the girl from Game of Thrones who played Daenerys, Emily, after that, she had handlers. There was always two people from the show with her. She didn't do anything alone after a certain point. And I'm laying the groundwork here for future videos, but there's something going on here that is real, or what we call real. There was an episode of The Simpsons when the aliens TV was watching The Simpsons in their home, watch TV. We've been watched since before we were born. We've been under surveillance since before we were born. There is no excuse for unsolved crime at this point. None. That's why I say not everything that's happening is wicked. There are certain things that are being hidden by God's angels. Like, there are certain things, but they're being brought out now because we are at the end of an age, right? And this is like the last leg of the race where we can finish strong and just we know who we are and we know who we're doing this for, or we turn into turncoats or treasonous. I mean, the choice is ours. So I've showed you how blue is more than just a color. It also has a frequency. Now, I did a video on the blue LED lights and the frequency being about 6.66. So you can check out that. That's an upload from like 2 years ago. I did that. We are going to talk more because I have a lot of little things that I need to tell you about. Like, be very careful of the products you're using right now. Go to essential oils if you don't want your hair to smell. But always pray over your things too. There are 2 verses in scripture that tell you very specifically, you may drink poison, but it will do you no harm. You may be bit by a snake, but it will do you no harm. Let those become your mantras. Believe them, receive them, speak life to them, okay? I know there's more to do with the color blue, but I just wanted to get this out there and get this started and the conversation started. And I also had a thing up showing that there would be a video. So the few people that actually are organic can tune in because they want to see what I say. I wanted to, put forth the effort and use a different device. I am going to shut down my laptop, restart it. I already did all that, but I'm going to do it again and see